You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities, and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Dini Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
Yo, what is going on, and welcome to another awesome episode of Vigilantes Radio. I am your host, Dini-Mussolini, or just simply Dini, and we have a very special guest, so you definitely want to stick around for that. Oh yeah, some amazing stuff we'll be talking about. A lot of cool gems and jewels will be shared with you from our special guest. And of course, awesome music. Can't forget about that. Too often, in an effort to better relate to people, we often allow other people to define us. Too often we buy homes, cars, and clothes based on what other people think. Too often we decide what is funny, what is sad, what is acceptable based on what other people think. You are your own person, and I want you guys to act like it. Learn from others, give to others, emulate those whom you admire and respect, but be your own person. The things other people say and think about you are not your reality. You determine your reality. You have every right and ability to decide for yourself who you are and who you are going to be. It's great to be held in high regards by others, but there is no need to compromise your values or the integrity of your own being in order to accommodate someone else's opinion. Doing the right thing doesn't mean doing what's popular or what popular opinion suggests. Doing the right thing means doing what you know is right. Of what real value is a life lived any other way? That is my question to you. Take that from me, Dini-Mussolini. That is my word, and word is bond.
You're live in the mix. Let's get this started.
Yo, hello and welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Music, or Inside the Book, Inside the Business, where we dive into the minds of the people who create marvelous things. It feels so good to be back with you guys once again. So one time for my people who are indigos, crystalline, or starseeds, or for my Vigilantes audience family, and 2 times for my people who are vegetarian or vegans. If you're like me, we are averaging over 37,000 live listeners, and we've been at this for 4 solid years. I appreciate all you guys who've been rocking with the kid on this journey, and we are still evolving, baby. It is all because of you, most definitely. We are the people who have dedicated their lives to music, spirituality, business, literature, art, movies, and research in every aspect, and we want to allow you an opportunity to tell your story. Man, we've had celebrities on our show, from Grammy Award winning artists to nominees to actors, comedians, CEOs, technology geniuses, visual artists, from authors to professors and aliens. Or people think they're aliens. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Come on our show and talk to me. So check it out. To book an interview or just to share a real cool story, email me at vradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. And that's V as in Victor. I'm passionate about what I do, just as passionate about what you do, and together, yes, together, we can get your voice heard by the people who should hear it. So let's create something incredible. You know the number to dial, 701-801-9813. text that number to your buddy right now and tell them to tune in to connect with us or our guests, or you can hop in the mix directly from our website, onlyonemediagroup.com. Right from the homepage, you can slap that go live button and you'll be right here live in the mix and in the chat room with all of us. Feel free to shoot over some questions to ask our guests while they are here, but only as time permits. Sometimes my guests and I talk entirely too much and we take up the entire hour. And as always, all episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/onlyonemediagroup, iTunes, YouTube, or any app from the Google Play or iTunes Store, or over at our website. And that goes for every single episode that we ever aired.
Imagine being paid for using social media. WebTalk is changing the way we connect and get paid. WebTalk is the social media platform that pays you. With WebTalk, you can promote and manage all your social media sites from one place. It includes features like user search, media galleries, referral tracking, magic newsfeed, Meet video chat, classifieds, and much, much more. WebTalk is booming with over 4 million users. Manage, connect, engage, get paid. No matter why you network, you can do it better with WebTalk. You can connect with your friends, colleagues, and the world. Use WebTalk to consolidate, organize, and syndicate everything. Imagine your perfect networking app. You will find it with WebTalk. It's time to take back control of you. WebTalk is the best free way to communicate and create success. To learn more, visit myfreewebtalk.com. That's myfreewebtalk.com.
All right, again, welcome to the show. You are listening to Vigilantes Radio Podcast. And again, I'm your host, dini-mussolini. So our very special guest tonight is an artist, a rocker, musician by the name of Stephen-Richard-Harlow. And, doing my duty to all of you listeners out there, and at the same time, cleverly disguising my own needs to harass the incredibly talented artists and musicians out there like Stephen. It seems about the time, that we talk to someone like him and see what the experience of recording an album is like for him, and go behind the scenes and the stories that inspire certain songs that captivate him to want to pen them and write them and record them and put them out there into the universe for you guys to listen to. So without any further ado, let's welcome Stephen-Richard-Harlow to our corner of the internet to discuss the latest single, Never Letting Go, and other things that I just may think of off the cusp, because that's just the way we do things. So let's go ahead. Hey man, you're now live in the midst with all of us. How's it going?
Hey brother, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great. It's going great. How about you?
Not too bad, keeping busy, trying to stay safe, keep everything going at the same time with everything that's been going on, but, everything's been going real good.
Yeah, man, glad to hear it. Has the pandemic derailed anything that you were working on?
Not necessarily. Necessarily, honestly. I do like a fill-in with a cover band too, play guitar for them and help them out and everything. So that tour was kind of halted by the pandemic, but on my end, my stuff wasn't really hindered by it any.
Okay. Well, that's good. Sucks for the other gig though, that has to be postponed. Yeah. So, I guess that's where we'll start, man. Besides the pandemic thing that's going on with everybody, let's back it up a little bit and go back in time, do the whole Marty McFly thing and kind of take a peep in on your life growing up. So how was life for you?
You know what? It was really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Grew up, I'm from West Virginia, so it's, I don't know if you can detect the accent or not. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But it was really good. It's real nice out here. I grew up from about the time I was born to about when I was 7 or 8 years old. I lived in the country on one side of the state, and then the county that I'm in, rather, and then moved to the city and lived there for a little while. Of course, our biggest cities aren't anything compared to some of the bigger cities around the country, but right now we moved out to the country again. I've been out here since I was 14. I'm 27. I'll be 28 in July. So
nice.
It's real nice. It's real nice, and there's a lot of time to really think and figure out what you want to do with yourself and do with your life and everything. And I've wanted to do music since I was 3 or 4 years old. I didn't always know how to go about it or find my way around it, but that never did stop me from getting out there and trying.
Most def. Yeah, which do you like more, the city or the country?
It's kind of a toss-up. To be honest with you, I'd have to say the country. Just because there's a lot more freedom out in the country to do kind of different things and whatnot. You don't have to worry about a whole lot out there. Our nearest neighbor is like 500 yards away. Yeah. And there's a good bit of trees and forest between us and them. So, but I mean, not that I don't love people. I absolutely love people. But on the other end, living in the city so long, and because we moved to the city when I was like 8 or 9 years old, so I was there until I was 13 or 14 years old. And you get used to like cars going by, trucks going by. So consequently, I can't go to sleep without noise. I have to have a TV or a fan or something going on, or else I don't get to sleep very well.
Yeah, same here. There has to be some type of white noise going on in the background for me to get good sound sleep. Do you find more inspiration being in the country versus the city?
Not necessarily, to be honest with you. I feel like as far as like the stuff that I write, I feel like there's more to write about in the city than there is in the country. I mean, depending on what you're writing about. Yeah. I mean, on one end of the spectrum, if you want to just kind of write about philosophical things and, self-insight and stuff that kind of comes to you as you're in your alone time or, something like that, then the country isn't too bad. But if you want to write about maybe some relevant problems, or not even problems, but just happenings and current events and stuff like that, then the city might be better for that.
Most definitely. And how did your whole journey into music begin?
Let's see. So when I was 3 or 4 years old, I always sang from the time I can remember. So, 3 or 4 years old, I was singing in the car with, like, my mom and stuff like that. Dad used to sing to us whenever we were really little, like sing you a bedtime song, tell you a story, sing you a song. So, but whenever I was almost 5 years old, like a day before my 5th birthday, or a month or two, actually, it'd been a month or two, they came home from a festival that takes place in the county. It's called the Strawberry Festival. And there's a lot of bands and stuff down there on a Friday night. So, a lot more then than there is now. But they came home with a cassette tape. It's 90, this is 97, 96. So, still the cassette tape era. So, they came home with that and threw it in. And I stood there that whole night and must have played that tape 2 or 3 different times till I learned the lyrics to all the songs and everything. And it was right there that I realized, I wanted to do music and everything. And struggled with shyness and stuff like that as a kid, as a younger kid anyway. And that kind of followed me into my teenage years. But whenever I became like 14, I started playing guitar a lot. And we had a school event going on and everyone was telling me, like everyone that had heard me play anyway, which was very select few at the time, telling me that I needed to take the guitar in and play to the kids and everything in this event. And I'm like, I don't know. And the teachers at the time that were putting it on they were real supportive and everything. So they were like, oh, come on, to be good. You're real good at what you do and everything. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I come in, and I must have played 2 songs, just an acoustic guitar and a microphone. And, just after, I think I went through the first song, there wasn't any applause, so I was like, and that's common for around this state, to be honest with you, depending on where you're at. They want, like, sometimes they'll applaud after every song, sometimes you wait till the end of the show before you find out if they thought it was good or not. So, kind of nerve-wracking at times, but anyway, I get done with the second song, and it's like a standing ovation, and I'm like, oh, okay, I must be good at this, or I must be doing something right anyway. So, beyond that, I just I've played it in with different lineups since then. This last lineup that I was in, actually, it was called Rushing Dragon, and some of that stuff's floating out there at Spotify and the internet and everything still. The drummer stepped down, or I don't really like to say stepped down, he kind of graduated. So he kind of moved on from that to something that he wanted to do more, that more intrigued him a little bit more, something that he'd been wanting to do for a really long time. And so, I can't really fault him for that or anything. So at that time I was kind of stuck. And I don't want to say stuck, but I kind of went into a serious rut. And to be honest with you, I contemplated, because I was like, I had a 9-to-5 job at the time, and I was like 27 years old. I'm not getting any younger. I'll be 28 in July. What do I want to do right now? I built this from the ground up since 2016, and now that's gone. It's like, what do I want to do now? Like, where do I turn to? So I kind of found refuge in the fact that I ran into a fella, a really good dude on Instagram, and I'd already been messing around and recording some stuff, because I can play bass and I can play guitar really good, but whenever it comes to drums, man, like, I can keep time, but I'm not a drummer. I mean, I could probably throw a drum track down to a song and it sound good enough, but I'm not really looking for good enough. I'm looking for, that awe factor in all of the parts. And I feel like I kind of got that with the bass and the guitar, but whenever it comes to drums, it's like, so I ran into a really good dude by the name of Daniel. I hope I'm pronouncing his name Gallardo, or maybe Gallardo, because it could be Spanish. But, he and I just kind of met each other a few months ago, and ran into him through Instagram, actually. Saw that he did some session work, and I had these songs kind of sitting around, and I was like, okay, this may be promising. I messaged him back and forth, and we kind of got this together, and that's where I'm at now, really, is I just actually did send 2 more songs off to him, and so I should be getting those back within the next couple of days. They're kind of 2 of my favorites off of this album that's going to be coming out.
Yeah. When does the album officially drops?
I'm shooting for November. At the latest. Could be October.
Good deal.
But somewhere between the second week of October to the end of November is the time frame that I'm looking at. I mean, I'll definitely have more on that later, because most of this stuff is like, I've got all the recording equipment and stuff myself, and I've been sound engineering since 2013. not to take up too much time, just real quick, I'll throw out when I got into sound engineering, it was back in 2013, but 2016, whenever I did that first Rushing Dragon album, and I released it, and it was one of those things like you release it and you kind of look back at it, and we do it with all sound engineers, we do it with all our work that we've ever done, or producers even, or artists. You know, you just kind of release it and you're like, well, I could have did this differently and it would have made it sound a little better. So the second album that came out from Rushing Dragon, which is not on Spotify or anything, I'm working on that, it was more radio professional. Like, it sounded like something off of the radio. Like, it sounded like stuff you hear on the radio, and that was just because I literally went in and worked with that for a half a year until I figured out what to do to get it to that quality, because I was like, I'm not putting this out until it's radio quality. And then, so, you know, that's a combination of producing and mixing and mastering. Mastering was the big one that I had to kind of learn, so that really didn't take that long to catch on to, probably a month or two, but, you know, it's all fun stuff. I've never really gotten frustrated with music. I've never really gotten frustrated with music. I hear a lot of people, and I don't fault them for it, because I've had the feelings before, and we all interpret the feelings differently. Like, whenever we hit difficulty, some of us are like, you know, some days I just feel like quitting, and then, like, some of us are like, some of us, when we hit that diversity, we're like, no, that's more encouragement. That's like, I've got to reach the goal, you know. And that's where I try to stay on. I try to stay on the growth mindset, and that's not to say that I haven't crossed over into well, I mean, just like I said earlier, you know, there was a time when, not too long ago, a few months ago, when I was like, hey, do I want to keep doing this, or what do I want to do? And, you know, but I can't think of anything I would rather do than write music and keep doing music, so that's where I always come back to.
Most definitely. So what kind of themes and emotions are you exploring on this new record, or this new album?
Well, the new album is literally it's called New Beginning, and it's called New Beginning. That kind of has, I kind of want it to have a meaning to the people that listen to it. Like, they can take, because it's art. The cool thing about art is you can take a song, you can take a picture, you can take a title, you can take anything like that. You can take it, you can make it yours. And that's the beautiful thing that I like about releasing music and stuff like this. I want the audience, I want the listeners to take it and make it theirs and relate it to their lives. But at the same time, you know, from my perspective, what it means to me, New Beginning, is it is a new beginning. This is the first time that I've ever went solo successfully. I tried going solo whenever I was really, really young, and I had no clue what I was doing. So getting back into it now, I was kind of like, and that's one of the things that really influenced me to keep going with music. It's like, you know, I know, you know, this business well enough to where I can actually be successful. It's like, the only thing that gets me about being solo is, I love to help other people out. So I would rather go with other people and help them out along the journey, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, getting back to the topic on hand, the question on hand, the New Beginning is, so one, it's a new beginning for me, in the literal sense, but also in the sense of the first song, Never Letting Go, which is the song that you've heard. This is a song that's a metaphor, but it's a literal metaphor. And so you start out with the guy hanging from a ledge, and it's literally, to summarize it, it's a guy hanging off of a cliff, and his friends holding on to him, not letting him go. And I mean, that's where the title comes from, the friends never letting go. And you know, he talks about the rocks below and the waves, you know, so I mean, the waves are symbolic of, you know, this life and the problems and the struggles and stuff that come along with life. And, you know, the rocks are representative of rock bottom. So, you know, at the end of the song, he hits rock bottom, and then you start out. The very next song is Twisted, which is the literal representation of the relationship that I have with an ex of mine. And it's nothing bad. I'm not defaming. It's definitely not a song where I'm getting in there and like defaming or talking bad about somebody. I'd never do that at all. It's more of a philosophical question more than anything else. And then a chorus is always the reasoning. But so, you know, you kind of take through this journey, and this whole journey that you're going through, you know, it starts out with the ending of a friendship with a really close friend of mine. And by the end of the album, you walk through this whole journey, and, you know, all these songs are about the trials and tests and struggles and stuff that everyone faces, but, you know, that I've faced within a matter of just a few months. And then the album finishes out with a song called Breaking Light, and I'm not going to spoil that one just yet as far as giving out a meaning for it or anything, because that's in my opinion, I don't know how the audience or the fan base is going to receive it. I think, you know, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to love it, because it's one of the most energetic songs too that's on the album. But it's the one that finishes it out, and Breaking Light, that's where you get to hear the solution. That's where you get to hear where I turn to solve the problem. All these problems and everything. It's like you got all these problems and everything all up to this. And like this is, you know, Breaking Light tells you, like, it's pretty well saying this is the solution. This is where I have to turn to fix the problem. This is how it was all solved. So it's a real good kind of walking through the story, and then a happy ending, which is what I'm all about. Like any song I've ever written, well, in the past, every song that I've ever written, you know, at the ending there's a silver lining, or there's a silver lining in the song. And this album, some of these songs may have a silver lining in them, some of them may not, but the album itself has that silver lining. You know, when you get to Breaking Light, it's like, oh, okay, so he figured it out, everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah. All right, man. I also want to talk about that record. I guess this is your standout record from the album, Never Letting Go. It's right there in my favorite genre and style of music. I like the way that you darken, thicken, and pronounce the melodies and the music, and that you found a way to add on to a great existing formula, but, you know, make it your own. So how hard or easy is that to create something like Never Letting Go without exactly becoming a copy of what's already out there?
I think the best way I can describe it is we all have influences. We all have influences. So we all draw our talent from somewhere most of the time. We can't sound like our influences most of the time. And if we can, it's better that we don't carbon copy. And that's my opinion, because I mean, you listen to some artists that come out, like one artist will come out sometimes, and then another artist will come out right after them, and they'll be just as successful, and they're touring stadiums and stuff like that. So I mean, sometimes that really works out. But for me, what I like to do is to be unique. I take all of these influences that I have, and I bring them all together and smash them together and make something out of, like, the combination of all the influences, like the backup vocals. I listened to a lot of Queen and stuff like that whenever I was getting ready to record the backup vocals, and honestly, I didn't even think about making them like that, but I remembered something that a friend of mine had told me one time, because I was like, you know, a three-part harmony, which it may be considered a four-part harmony. I'm still kind of new to not really to harmonies, but like if you add more than one harmony, is it a 3 or is it a 4? So I'm kind of new to like throwing different harmonies in there, more than one. Because in the past I've thrown 1, maybe 2, but I've never thrown 3. And then I remembered something that somebody said, because I was like, this would really sound good with a few harmonies in it. And a friend of mine had told me one time, he's like, well, if you sing the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th, you get like a heavenly choir effect out of it. And I was like, well, let's try that out. And then, kind of getting the mix right and everything was sort of different, but, it really turned out good, and the workaround with the reverb and everything. So, and I mean, as far as the guitar style goes, that is so many names. I could sit here and name off probably 15 to 20 guitars, influences, and they're all in that guitar solo in one shape or form.
Oh, wow. Man, that's incredible. What about what about light versus dark themes in music? Does your music ever get dark?
I feel like Never Letting Go is about as dark as I've ever gotten. I feel like Never Letting Go is about as dark as I've ever gotten, because that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying before. All these other songs that I've ever had, if they've ever had dark lyrics, there's some type of silver lining in those songs. There's some type of silver lining, like it's like I'm reaching out to God or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you could listen to that lyric, like if someone's really concerned about, like somebody that really knows me personally, because sometimes, if you got a personal relationship with the person that's making the art, they're like, oh, is he okay? Which is good. You want that, and sometimes you want that effect, and that's really good, because that means you're doing your job right. They're really feeling that music, and that's what I'm all about, because I have a really extensive blues background, so, I mean, I place all the emphasis on emotion, a huge emphasis on emotion, but all these other songs that I've ever written have had some type of silver lining where, like, you could listen to it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's fine, he knows what he's doing, he's working himself out of this. But this one, it ends with the dude hitting the rocks below. I mean, it's a metaphor, it's not literal, it's symbolic of I was hitting rock bottom, and I hear the waves, and then I hit the rocks below. I think are how the last lyrics actually read, and then the song's done after that. So I mean, that's symbolic of hitting rock bottom. There's no real silver lining, besides the fact that I guess you could interpret that, okay, he's hit rock bottom, so now he's got nowhere to go but up. I mean, you could interpret it that way, but that's not really specified. I mean, yeah, that's the darkest I've ever gotten, and I mean, it kind of scared me to go that direction, because it was different.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of a leap of faith to go out that direction, because it was different, but at the same time, I had these feelings inside and everything, because I always write from personal experience. I almost always write from personal experience. And this was something that was just, I mean, the ending of that friendship, and then all these problems that happened, after it, like I had already reconnected with my ex and was talking to her, and it was really just to be friends. I never tried to go. I'm not the type of person to try to go somewhere I've already been most of the time. I'm all for second chances and walking that extra mile. But I don't think that would necessarily mean getting right back into the situation you were into before. So I was kind of reaching out to her and everything, and we were talking back and forth like everything was fine, and then like one day everything would be fine, the next day it'd be, hey, I'm glad you're messaging me, I love talking to you and everything. Then the next day you'd message them and they'd be like, why are you messaging me? And that's where Twist came from. It was like that's where that song came from. It's like basically it was just a way for me to get those feelings out, is trying to say that it didn't really make sense why we kept talking to each other, is basically what the song even is trying to convey, but that one's not out yet, so I won't go too in-depth with it, but that'll be the next one to come out, single-wise.
And also, man, like, in retrospect, point out some, like, difficulties that you've encountered when you first began your music career.
All the biggest difficulties were, the biggest difficulties is location would be one. I feel like if you're in, and maybe I'm wrong because I've never been to LA and really seen that scene or anything, but I feel like if you're in LA or even places in Nashville and Memphis, New York, there's these places that are like synonymous with, I think that's the word I'm looking for, with music. Like, these are the big music places. Like, you can go there, and maybe not at the moment because of the pandemic and everything, but like before all that, it was like LA. You could always go there and find somewhere. You may be playing for free for a little bit, but you can get your music out. You can go there and you can find somewhere that'll kind of get behind you and support you and everything. And there's a lot of places around West Virginia that would take you in and support you and stuff like that, but it's hard to get your name out. It's really, and I don't necessarily want to blame the location for it, because there's other ways to get your name out. But before, we're talking about like my younger years, 2009, 2010, when I was 18, 19, 20, really trying to get into this and break into the business. It was like, social media hadn't taken over the way that it was, like marketing and promotion through the internet wasn't what it is today. Because, I'll be honest with you, that's the thing that's helped me out the most within probably the past 4 or 5 years. And that's like one of the best ways that I've found to get my name out and everything. The internet is a very powerful thing these days. But back in 2009, 2010, we were still kind of getting a feel for that type of stuff. So, we were getting out and playing, and we did tours for 3 or 4 years. And I don't want to say we didn't go anywhere, because we did. We absolutely went somewhere. We had a really good fan base, and we had one place that we could go that we could sell out every time we went. The people loved us there, and of course, management loved us there because they were making a lot of money. But this was a restaurant, and we would set out on like this enclosed deck outside, and they had like your inside area, and they were separated by glass doors. And it's kind of funny, actually. The waitresses would come over and close the doors, and the customers would get back up and open the doors back up so they could hear, because they were there for us. They were there for food too, but they were there for us just as much as they were to have a good meal. So, but not really knowing a whole lot about the business or how to break into it kind of hindered me. That and getting in with the wrong crowd, kids stuff. A lot of us do it. Getting in with the wrong crowd at a younger age and stuff like that. And, I'm not going to go too in detail with what happened or took place back then, but, from 21 to about 23 or 24 was a real rebuilding process for me. And then when I turned 24, 25, that's when I really started getting back into this. And that was, 2016, 2017. And those are really the only things that have ever hindered me is, location and not knowing a whole lot about the business, up until, 3 or 4 years ago. And a lot of the stuff that I learned has just kind of been trial and error. But I always felt like, because I'm very critical of myself. I've listened to some of my stuff from the past and been like, why did I release that? And, And then some of the stuff from the past I listened to, I'm like, man, that was really good. Why did I not release that? So, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've learned is through trial and error. I mean, I've had some people help me out in the past that have been in the business for a while, but, for the most part, it's been a trial and error type of thing. But I always felt like the stuff was good enough to where, especially from 2015, 2016 on, I've always felt like it was good enough to where it was like, okay, I'm still learning about this, and it's only going to get better from this point. It may not be the best that it's ever going to be, but at the same time, I'm not getting any, again, it goes back to the I'm not getting any younger thing. So it's like I've got to go ahead and start promoting this stuff, kind of sink or swim. And, starting out the Facebook page, it was originally Rushing Dragon. Now it's Stephen-Richard-Harlow. So, and that took me a while to get that to change. But I finally got them to let me change it after making a few announcements on the page and everything. And then they were like I sent it off and everything. I'm not going to knock Facebook. They've got protocols and everything that they have to follow, and they don't have time to look at everything. I understand that. They were like, oh, we can't approve your name change because you haven't, that confuse your fans. You have to announce it. I'm like, I've announced it twice. And I attached the post, and they were like, okay. So, I mean, like, probably only about 15 minutes after, that's to their credit, only about 10, 15 minutes after I sent that last email with the attached post, it came, I logged back into Facebook, and the name had changed over to Stephen-Richard-Harlow and everything, and I was like, okay, now we can start going forward again. So, I mean, it hasn't disappointed, the promotion, stuff like that, through social media, through any outlet I can get through. It never has disappointed. It's always been one of those things like, the stuff gets out there and people really love it. I mean, and people from all around the world, for that matter, from the United States, Canada, to Mexico, all the way to Puerto Rico, to South America. I've got, I can't say we anymore, I've got to say me. It's a switch. I'd rather say we than me, but I've got a really, really huge fan base in India. I mean, so they really love me over there, so, and they've loved the past lineups that I've been in, so, I mean, it's real good. I mean, it's challenging, but at the same time, I feel like everything's starting to pay off, and I'm on the right track. I mean, the songs got, last time I checked, and that was yesterday, to be honest with you. I've been doing so much today, I haven't even had time to check. I should do that here in a few. But yesterday when I looked at it, the YouTube video had already had like 1.6 or 1.7 views. Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, nobody knew that was even on YouTube and available to the public until about a week ago now. About the time the stuff from Starlight PR and everything came out, and the PR, that stuff started taking place, and that was so just as soon as they started promoting it, I started promoting it. So at that point, and it's already to 1.6 or 1.7K. So I mean, it may not sound like a lot, but that's a huge step for me, because I'm not used to that. That's kind of new to me as far as YouTube. YouTube's always been a fairly tough game for me to play, but it's starting to finally pay off. But as far as like the song on the charts, it's got over 1,000 votes already. And that's just from the fan base and everything. And that there's a little over 5.5K fans that I have on the Facebook page right now. So I mean, it's like say, it's never disappointed. It's all about getting your name out there. If you've got the talent and you've got good music, or it reaches or connects with somebody, I feel like you can really do it.
Yes, sir. Man, if we were to put your song on a mixtape and play the mixtape all the way through, didn't label anything, how would we be able to tell Stephen-Richard-Harlow's song from any other song on the playlist?
there's a few ways. There's a few ways, I think. I think, number one, I don't know that anyone has the feel or the sound that I have. And I don't mean like the style sounds or anything like that. I just mean like the stuff that I use and everything. I don't know that anyone else has that particular sound, but I mean, even if it wasn't by the music or the sound, you know, just as soon as I start singing, you're going to be like, okay, that's Steve. And then, like, if that doesn't get it, you know, then then there's a couple fail-safes that I've thrown in there, because I write songs in every key. I've listened to many artists that do that. I've listened to many artists that only have like one or two keys that they write out of, and that's fine. You know, we cater to our voice, and we try to flatter our voice, and I feel like that's probably the formula. I know that's the formula that I use, and I feel like that's probably the formula that every vocalist tries to go with. And of course, there's tricks you can do when you play live, like tuning down a half a step. I've actually found, for any artist that's out there listening, I've found that if you tune down a whole step, so if you're going to tune down and play your song out of a different key, tune down a whole step and play. It's actually easier on your voice than playing out of a half a step. I learned that from a Sammy Hagar interview that I watched, actually. The notes are about the same when you tune down a whole step. You know, you're a full octave down. But anyway, so you know, the bass style, I don't know that anyone plays bass guitar like I do anymore, because a lot of my bass influences were, you know, Gene Simmons, the guy from Boston whose name escapes me right now. But I mean, so like these 70s and 80s, 60s bass players that really, like, they were run bass players. Like, they hit a note and then they'd run. And, you know, a lot of fills and stuff like that. Like, there's some people that play like that still to this day, and there's some people that don't. You know, there's a place for that in some music, and there's a place where that doesn't fit. You know, you got to cater and serve the song more than anything else.
That's right.
You know, you may write a song to where, like, you're not going to want to play anything except for eighth and quarter notes, because that's all that fits. But anyway, so I mean, the bass style, I think, but I mean, if all else fails, when you hear the guitar solo, there's nobody else that plays like that. And I'm not touting myself as a good guitarist or anything like that. I try my best, and I take the influences that I have, which I think are the best, you know, anywhere from Richie Sambora to Santana to Randy Rhoads to Yngwie Malmsteen. When I wanted to learn how to play shred guitar back in the day when I was, you know, 2014, 2015, back when I was with a group called Independent Soul, I ran into the videos from Michelangelo Badius and learned how to actually hold the pick at a 90-degree angle was the best way to, you know, go fast on a guitar and everything. So went through that whole lesson. But, you know, I mean, there's all these influences, you know, Gary Moore, Stevie Ray Vaughan's probably the number one biggest influence on my style, but, you know, even David Gilmour. I mean, there's all these influences that come to meet in one spot, and that is every guitar solo that I've ever written. And I try to, even though I try to make every guitar solo sound different, I still feel like you can listen to it. Like if you've heard me once, like you can listen to it, you can be like, oh, that's a different solo. It doesn't sound anything like any of these other solos. But just like with Randy Rhoads, none of his solos sounded the same. But when Randy played, you knew it was Randy.
Good stuff. All right, are you guys ready for some music? Well, we have Never Letting You Go by Stephen-Richard-Harlow, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
just a friend who loves me. I see you straining as you smile and tell me please grab my hand, I'll pull you up to safety. There's no need to cry, please understand that I'm your friend, your brother. You don't have to die this way, it'll be okay. I'll do what I can to show that I'm not letting go. I'm getting heavy and I can see you strain. I never wanted to cause you any pain. Still you hold on to me and I to you, my one last hope. But try as we may, we both can see I'm pulling you closer to the edge, as you say. Please grab my hand, I'll pull you up to safety. There's no need to cry, please understand that I'm your friend, your brother. You don't have to die this way, it'll be okay. I'll do what I can to show I'm not letting go. My hand is open now. I've let go. There's no need to frown. Please don't cry. It'll be alright. I beg you, let me go. Your fingers dig into my wrist, and you say no. Please grab my hand, I'll pull you up to safety. There's no need to cry, please understand that I'm your friend, your brother. There's no need to die this way, it'll be okay. I'll do what I can to show that I'm not letting go. I'm falling down, you finally let me go. I hear the waves and hit the rocks below.
All right. We are back, guys. What a wonderful record by Stephen-Richard-Harlow. Never Letting Go. Man, we have the descriptions, the link to that song and his social media in the description of this episode and in the show notes. So all you have to do is click those links and you can definitely have those records. All right. You have the potential for change. You have the potential for greatness. You have the ability to learn and the skill to meet challenges. You are able to persist. You are fully capable of taking action. You can transcend pain and difficulty if necessary. You can create. You can improve. You are able to see possibilities and follow them through. You have the ability to understand and communicate. You are caring, loving, compassionate, and filled with a sense of purpose. You know what is right and what is wrong, and you've experienced a deep satisfaction and fulfillment of doing what is right. You've got a lot going on for you. You're alive and living in an incredible world that is abundant with possibilities. So what are you waiting for? With all this greatness itching to be expressed, what could possibly hold you back? That is my question to you. Take that from me, dini-mussolini. That is my word, and word is bond. But for right now, let's welcome back the man of the moment, Stephen. You're back with us. And as we wrap it up in our hour here, what is one sound advice that you could give an artist or a person that wants to be an artist?
Don't be afraid. That is the biggest piece of advice, best advice that I can give anybody. Don't be afraid. Put yourself out there. Any comment, if you put yourself out there promoting and everything, you're going to have haters, you're going to have lovers. Any comment you get on a post or you get on a video or anything like that, take it as a good comment. That's actually a lesson that I just learned, honestly, about a month or two ago. Everything is good. If you put it on there to get a reaction more than anything else, and if people are responding to it and everything, regardless of if they're saying good things to you, or if they're saying that they don't like it, they're still reacting to it. And the haters, when they get on there and say hateful things, the people that love you, people that listen to the stuff and love it, that only reinforces their love for you, if that makes any sense. Because they listen to it and they're like, hey man, this guy's not that bad. This other dude doesn't know what he's talking about when he says, stuff like that. So that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because if we never throw ourselves out there, if we never jump into the pool, we'll never get there. And just keep persistent. I'm 27 years old. 21 Pilots was 28. I think they were both like 28 years old whenever they finally hit the big time. I believe the Gerard Way and them guys were like in their 30s whenever they took off with My Chemical Romance and actually hit the big time with that. So you're never too old and you're never too young to go ahead and throw yourself out there and just try it.
Most definitely. Some great advice, man. All right. Let everyone know where they can connect with you online and where to pick up that music.
Yes. You can connect with me online. Look up Stephen-Richard-Harlow on Facebook, and look up Stephen.Harlow, all lowercase letters. Stephen.Harlow, STAPHEN.HARLOW. Look that up on Instagram. That'll take you to my Instagram. And if you want to pick that out, or if you want to listen to the song, look up Stephen Harlow on YouTube, and you will run into that song. That song will be coming out on Spotify and all the streaming apps in any part of the world, for that matter, within a matter of, I'd like to say days, but to be safe, I'll say within a matter of about a week or so. It's all about sending it off to the distribution guys, and then they got to review it and everything. So, within about a week, it'll be on Spotify and everything.
Most definitely. All right, Stephen, man, I appreciate you for being our guest. And as again, listeners, the links will be in the description of this episode and in the show notes. So click away, have fun. Yeah, man, Stephen, just want to thank you again for being our guest, man. It was an honor learning about you and your music.
Hey, brother, thank you, man. It's a real honor and a real privilege for you allowing me to be on here and everything, giving me the time.
Yes, sir, man. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
All right, have a great night.
You too, brother. See ya.
See ya.
Thank you, my Vigilantes family. as always, for checking out my podcast over here at Vigilantes Radio. All episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/only1mediagroup, iTunes, YouTube, any app that's on a Google Play or iTunes store, or our website. And that goes from every single episode that we've ever aired. If you'd like to request music or a particular guest or send something for me to play, email it to theradio@only1mediagroup.com. If it's music, please label it by artist and title. Here's my disclaimer. We are genre free, we do not judge, and we absolutely do not base our opinions on hearsay but facts alone. And actually, you can scratch all of that because all of my opinions are always right. That's the bottom line. This is my show, so deal with it. Nah, just kidding. On behalf of myself, Dini-Mussolini, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, either afterwards or live with us. Spread the word because sharing is caring. We stepped up our game just for you guys and our guests to make sure that you have the best experience here on our show. Be sure to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, as well as Spreaker. We always follow back. That is the number one rule. Okay, well, just remember to be yourself and be absolutely great at just doing that. Avoid being too comfortable because you're messing with your potential when you do that. Peace and have a good night.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds of the duo No Longer the Hero. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.only1mediagroup.com. This is a Seventh Sign Regime Rebirth Worldwide Syndicate exclusive.